G'day guys, Paul from Complete Canine Solutions. In this episode we're going to look at ways to keep your dog entertained when you've got to leave home for extended period. We'll just wind up here and we'll get right into it. Last one buddy, go and get it! Good dog. Oh, not so good dog. Come on, let's get started. So why is it important to keep our dogs entertained when we're not home? Firstly, we don't want our dog getting bored. If a dog gets bored, he'll start those destructive behaviours, digging holes, chewing hoses, all those sort of things we don't want to come home to. The second reason is dogs are a pack animal, and some dogs get really anxious when they're left alone for extended periods. So if we can leave them something meaningful to do, just to keep their mind off the fact that the rest of the pack members aren't home, we're going to come home to a lot healthier and happier dog. Before we leave home, one of the best things we can do for our dog is to take them for a long walk, just to drain as much energy as we can. If the dog has a lower energy level, all those behaviours resulting from boredom and anxiety are all going to be a lot less. Using breakfast is a great way to keep your dog entertained in your absence. What I do is I put my dog's breakfast biscuits in a plastic bottle, leave the cap off, and I give this to the dog as I leave the house. What happens then is the dog uses this throughout the day, he chews on this, kicks it around, he's working constantly. As he's working, biscuits come out of this bottle and that's his reward. Keeps his mind and his body active, and it's a great way to keep him entertained while we're out. Another way we can use our dog's breakfast to keep them entertained throughout the day is by just using any old empty cardboard box. Tip our dog's breakfast into the box. Seal up our box. It's a bit of a rough old job, and you can see why I never get to wrap up the Christmas presents at my house. And then just getting a pair of scissors, just cut a couple of holes in the box, just to allow the dog to get the scent of the biscuits, because that'll give them interest in this straight away, and then they'll start working on the box. As the dog gets used to his breakfast being in the box and working to get his food out, add more and more tape and make it harder for him, and that'll keep him entertained longer and longer during your absence. And finally, one of the last things we can do with our dog's biscuits is soak them in water, get them nice and mushy, mush it all up, put it in an empty takeaway container, and put this in the freezer overnight to make an ice block that'll keep your dog entertained for hours the next day. We could also make a frozen treat for our dog. Just put some water in a container, crunch up and mix in a stock cube, beef, chicken, lamb, doesn't matter. Just put it in the freezer, and again, this will be something that'll keep our dog entertained while we leave the house. And finally, toys. Toys play a very important part in keeping our dog entertained when we leave them alone. Whether it's a tennis ball, something that squeaks, or a hang toy that the dog can play tug with in our absence, they all are very, very important in keeping the dog occupied. Don't think that you have to go out and spend lots of money on toys. Things like old go-kart tyres or a piece of rope that we can plait ourselves are just as good in giving our dogs something to play with when we're not there. Just one tip with toys, but dogs get bored very quickly because they get used to them, the smell and the texture. Rather than having 10 toys just littered across the backyard and the dog shows no interest in any of them, every day just issue one toy, and then when you come home, take that toy back off them. The next day give them another toy, and what you find, the interest will be a lot higher in that toy than everything else that he's had laying around for a week. Well, that's it for this episode. I hope you picked up a few tips and techniques that you might find useful. Until next time, I'll see you later.